Yo, what's up? Happy Friday, everybody. TGIF, DK Show up on the air right now. Appreciate y'all tuning in wherever, however, you're tuning in on this Friday morning of May 24th. Whether it's the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also available online, sportstalk1051.com. Stream it up there. You got the app, download it, take it on the go, take it wherever. Smart devices like your smart speakers. And the video stream, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Multiple ways to do it. But appreciate you making us part of your starts on this morning before the Memorial Day weekend is upon us. What do we have on a good old game plan this morning? Monumental decision. A decision that we all expected to happen. We knew it was coming. We've talked about it off and on. Deadline, I believe, was yesterday for a settlement, but now sounds like it's officially official after the judge kind of takes a few months apparently to go over the agreement. But the NCAA and its 5 power conferences have agreed to allow schools to directly pay players for the first time in its history. The NCAA and its leagues are moving forward with a multi-billion-dollar agreement to settle 3 pending federal antitrust cases. The NCAA will pay more than $2.7 billion in damages over 10 years to past and current athletes. Sources, this is from ESPN sources, also said the parties have also agreed to a revenue sharing plan allowing each school to share up to roughly $20 million per year with its athletes. All Division I athletes dating back to 2016 are eligible to share a part or are eligible to receive a share, as part of the settlement class. And after the judge is going to have to go through the settlement terms and must be approved by the judge who's presiding over these cases. That's expected to take a little bit, and the shared revenuing could begin in the fall of 2025. So, yeah, it's coming now. It's coming here. So, your thoughts, athletes, soon to be. I know we've talked about it a couple times with RJ Cardinal and such, our Badger analyst and that. But I think there's still some other stuff to be kind of, figured out and such. But it says here, because I was kind of curious, like, okay, how do you split the revenue? Is it just going to be equal share for all athletes within your school and that? But I was reading here a little bit too, according to this article from ESPN, a series of formulas devised by sports economist, you know what I mean. Economists will be used to decide how to split the 2.7 billion in damages among more than 10,000 former and current athletes. Said some money will be split evenly among all members, but other parts will be allocated based on the athlete's market value. Metrics such as career snap count or a player's star rating and recruiting might determine their payout. Gathering data to plug into that formula could be a complicated process. But, yeah, also here it says several athletic directors told ESPN that they are hopeful the settlement lays the groundwork for a system in which success on the field is less dependent on which schools can spend the most money. Sources said some of the challenges to solve include figuring out how to distribute the revenue sharing money in a way that meets market needs while complying with Title IX laws and whether schools can regain control of the marketplace for college athletes, which has been outsourced during the past 3 years to booster collectives which pay athletes via name, image, and likeness endorsement deals. So, really, it's kind of like step one of a very, very long process, it seems like. So, yeah, we'll talk about this throughout the morning here. So we'll hit that up. But your thoughts? Join in on the conversation. Hit us up 715-830-1912. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Brewers begin a series against the Boston Red Sox this weekend. So we're going to hit that up, but also kind of preview the series with the Cubbies because we won't be here on Monday. So it is the return of Craig Counsell to Milwaukee. Obviously, we've seen Brewers and Cubs already playing a series and such, but this is the first of Craig Counsell returning to Milwaukee. So, well, we got a couple of series that we will. Gosh, I can't talk this morning. That we will preview and hit up here, especially when our good buddy Mr. Brandon Berg joins us starting in the 7 o'clock hour here. So plenty of Brewers talk coming at you here in just a little bit. No inside the trading room. Dr. Crow unavailable this morning, so we'll get to Brandon right away, including some local sports roundup. Shout out to all the track teams, track athletes, track and field athletes who punched their tickets to the state championship, which will be next week. A lot of the local athletes doing that yesterday, last night at various events, and also with tennis teams and tennis individuals. We got a lot going on with baseball, softball, golf, and that too. So Brandon will be joining us to break it all down for our local sports roundup, brought to you by Amundsen's Appliance Center. Blue Golds, they're at Division III Track and Field National Championships, and already accumulating some points and accumulating some All-Americans and titles out there. So we'll find out after this weekend. Could they potentially get a national championship as a team there? So day 2 picks back up later on today. So plenty going on the local side. Plus, we've got the Eau Claire Express beginning their opening day on Monday too. So, what else? We got Timberwolves going to be back in action tonight, going up against the Dallas Mavericks. Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals coming up. Last night we had Boston taking down Indiana. They are up 2-0 in that series. So can the Timberwolves even it up, or can Dallas also join Boston and go up 2-0 in their series? So we'll throw a little hoops talk in there too. We got the Stanley Cup playoffs also continuing to roll around. Edmonton, Dallas in action, double overtime. Edmonton picking up a 3-2 victory over there too. So we've got game 2 between the Panthers and the Rangers tonight. Florida leads that series 1-0. We'll even throw a little bit of football chat in here because NFL.com. Greg Rosenthal, who if you follow at some NFL media and such, Greg Rosenthal to me is one of the more one of the better ones in my opinion. Feel like he's a little underrated at that point too. But NFC North projected starters, and he takes a look at the projected lineups and that, but also breaks it down for some of these teams, for all these teams. And I want to hit up what he had to say about the Pack. A couple notes here, actually more than a couple. It's a few notes here about this team overall. And one of the lines that Greg has on here says it's hard not to get excited about this offense, which could still be the youngest in football. The Packers got closer to the Super Bowl last season than anyone expected and can absolutely unseat the Lions in the division. So we'll go through what Greg has on here as well. So plenty of stuff to get to here. A lot of good stuff here. All right, we'll take our first break, and then the leadoff coming up. We'll go through all this stuff. But hey, join in the convo. All right, I want you to join me. Hit me up with a text, comment on the video stream. What do you want to talk about today? What are your thoughts on the various topics out there? All right, let me know. Hit me up with those messages. All right, so we'll take that first break and we'll get things going on this Friday morning. Leadoff coming up in just a few minutes. 1 week from today, we are unveiling the mobile man cave. Picked her up yesterday with all of our sponsor logos on there. Shout out Carpet City Pointer, Toyston Ford, Woods and Water Realty, the Elbow Room. Very sharp up there. So, Hudson and I got a project this weekend. We are going to finish it up and put up a little bit of the decor on the inside there. So we're getting ready to unveil that puppy week from today, this Friday or week from today, next Friday, as we'll be at Carson Park. We'll be there in the morning doing our program, doing the show, but also at Sports Talk Night at the Eau Claire Express game that night. So the Mobile Man Cave will also be there too. Don't forget to grab your tickets for Sports Talk Night for the Eau Claire Express next Friday, a week from today. Opening day, though, starts on Monday, Memorial Day, as they take on the Madison Mallards. In case you're wondering who they play on Friday for Sports Talk Night, that's the Badlands. Badlands, so another new team coming on over here too. They got a sweet logo. I will say that the Teddy Roosevelt, kind of like the Rough Riders logo up there. So got to give them a little credit. They got a sweet logo there too. So all right, gonna be busy now. Summer's upon us with a lot of busy stuff going on out there. But a couple texts here before we get rolling here. Brandon's mom says, "Morning, morning all. Big shout out to Emma Leach and Thorpe Lady Cardinals, regional champs. Keep it going, girls. Awesome job. Let's go, Brewers. Get back to winning. And let's go have a great holiday weekend. You too, Brandon's mom. G-Man. What does G-Man got to say this morning? DK Brewers will win 6-2 tonight. And the Pack signed this guy named Cooper. Do you know who this player is? That's one of their rookies there, G-Man, Edrin Cooper. Rookie linebacker, second round pick. So they got him under his rookie deal. So I believe it's just a couple more left. Jordan Morgan and I believe it's Bullard, their safety, who is just the last two rookie players that have to sign their contracts. So that's who Cooper is. Edrin Cooper, their rookie linebacker there. So, but they're pumped about him. And they're excited about him and tag teaming up with Quay Walker over at the linebacker spot. So they're excited about him. So speaking of which, just really quick, I know I touched on it at the beginning there, but Greg Rosenthal has his predictions here for the starting lineups and such, and I don't think there's nothing too big of a surprise. Although maybe, um, I think there might be a little bit of a tie. No, it's not. So he's actually got Dontavian Wicks over Christian Watson, which I don't know if I agree with Greg on that. And he even says it hurt to initially leave Dontavian Wicks off this list for Christian Watson. So I changed the projection in the end. Wicks route running and ball winning pop off the screen and had to get the nod. So I don't know if I would do that at that point, but Rasheed Walker, left tackle, Elton Jenkins, left guard, Josh Myers, center, right guard, Jordan Morgan, and then right tackle, Zach Tom. Interesting. Jordan Morgan over there. He says first round pick Jordan Morgan will work at left tackle initially. He was presumably drafted to take over that spot eventually, but I wouldn't be surprised if, in typical Packers fashion, they wind up making him a guard this year as they search for the best combination. Again, the 5 best will play, as Matt LaFleur likes to say. Some other stuff on the defensive side. I don't think there's any big surprises. I mean, Rashawn, Kenny, Devontae Wyatt, Preston Smith, your up four front, Quay Walker, Edrin Cooper, who we just mentioned, your linebackers, Jair, Carrington, and Keyshawn Nixon, your starters, which Eric Stokes looked like, in at least in OTAs, got was the first one to potentially get that starting spot there. But as Greg says, they believe in Carrington Valentine, who played well late last season. There are more options on the bench: Eric Stokes, Corey Ballantine, but corner is the most vulnerable position on the team. The Packers need Jair Alexander to rebound from an injury-riddled season. Some other notes that Greg has on this team. Jaden Reed's role is the most locked in. He can develop into an Amon Ray St. Brown type player for Matt LaFleur starting now. That's high praise. I mean, that I would love that. I think we all would love that. Romeo Doubs was the most consistent outside option last year and was a monster in the playoffs. Watson might never be a complete receiver, but he can add an explosive element if he stays healthy. Packers are similarly young and deep at tight end, where both Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft flashed by the end of their rookie season last year. Kenny Clark getting older. With Kenny Clark getting older, 28, the Packers could use more consistency from his tag team partner, Devontae Wyatt, after a big uptick in usage for Wyatt last year. And I feel like Devontae is going to be a guy that's going to benefit from this new style of defense. I really do. Edge group is mostly the same workload of last year's first-round pick. Lucas Van Ness increased late last season, and he could take Preston Smith's job eventually. Smith is somehow the only player. This is a fun fact for you. Preston Smith is the only player who's over the age of 30 on this roster. Only player over the age of 30. If second-round pick Edgerrin Cooper, so here you go, G-Man, starts as a rookie, the Packers will have a linebacker group as fast as any in football. Let me say that again. The Packers will have a linebacker group as fast as any in football. When was the last time we could say that heading into a season with this linebacking group? Seriously. When was it? I don't know. I can't remember. Sideline to sideline, baby. Let's see it. The biggest personnel change on defense comes at safety. I loved the Xavier McKinney signing. Second-round pick Javon Bullard has a shot to start as a rookie. The biggest change overall is at coordinator. Jeff Hafley is a relative unknown with his most recent experience coming at Boston College and Ohio State. This group underperformed relative to its talent for years under Joe Barry. I think a lot of us would agree with that assessment. And then the quote that from Greg that I said in the first part, it's hard not to get excited about this offense, which could still be the youngest in football. The Packers got closer to the Super Bowl last season than anyone expected and can absolutely unseat the Lions in the division. I mean, come on. How about this? Let me throw this question out to you. Okay? Let me throw this question out to you. A little poll question here. Have to pick one. Can't say both. Okay, that's copping up. All right, we ain't doing that. What are you most excited about for next year? Then we're going to switch gears here and talk a little baseball and such, because we got a game in that too. But I want to throw this out there, and I'm going to throw it up as a poll on the socials too. Are you, as a Packers fan, more excited about the offense taking another step this year, potentially being better than what they were last year? Let's kind of focus on the second half of the season. Are you excited about that, or are you more excited about the change in defense and adding a couple of players on there, switching up to a 4-3? What are you most excited about? The offense continuing to grow, the youngsters growing together. We saw a lot of really good glimpses last year. Or is it the change in defense and adding a couple of players in there? What are you most excited about? I guess it's not necessarily what side of the ball do you think is going to be the most successful, but what are you most excited about? Are you excited to see Jordan Love in year 2 with these guys? Josh Jacobs plugging him in. The rookies from last year heading into year 2. They've got their experience. We've heard, from Love and that it's different night and day compared to last year at this time. Instead of doing a lot of installs and learning stuff, they're ready to go right away. High expectations for the offense this year. Defensively, new coordinator. Got some rookies that are expected to get a ton of playing time this year. 4-3, maybe more so of a 4-2-5. Which one are you most excited about? Okay? Just simply text me offense or defense. And give me a little analysis if you'd like there too. All right? I'll put it up on Twitter and Facebook during a break coming up here. So, all right, Brewers tonight after an off day yesterday. Back at it, holding on to now a 2-game lead in the Central over the Chicago Cubs. Brewers sitting there at 28-21, Cubbies 27-24. But the Brewers now will be finishing up their longest road trip of the season with a 3-game set in Boston, taking on the Red Sox. We've got Bryce Wilson going to be on the mound, getting the start tonight for the Crew. He's 2-1 with a 2.79 ERA so far this season. A guy that, because of the injuries, was a long relief bullpen type of option, but now being kind of, I don't thrusted, thrown, moved to a starting role here. And I think it's fair to say that he has done a pretty darn solid job. You're looking at his last 3 games, they've been no decisions. Last game coming up against Houston, where he went 4 2/3, 2 earned runs. St. Louis before that, 4 innings, 2 earned runs. Before that, Kansas City, a no decision, but pitched fantastic. 6 innings, 1 hit, and no earned runs. In the month of May, he is 0-0, but a 2.45 ERA. In fact, even in April, when we, had a handful of games where he started in there, but a lot of them were coming in long relief and such. But he was 2-1 with a 2.28 ERA. I mean, Bryce Wilson has been a very nice, positive development for the Crew this year. No doubt about it. When you're looking at the lineups here too, you got some Red Sox players that have a couple games worth of experience against him. Cooper's got 6 at-bats, but he's just 167. O'Neill, their right fielder, 5 at-bats, a couple RBIs against him, has hit 400. Then you got, 1 or 2 at-bats with a couple other players over there too. On the other side, we've got Cutter Crawford, who's going to be throwing and getting the start for Boston. He's coming off of his last appearance was back on the 18th against the Cardinals, where he had a no decision, 5 2/3, 6 hits, 1 earned run. Before that, he picked up a loss against Tampa Bay, 6 innings, 4 earned runs, and then another decision against Atlanta on the 7th, 6 innings, 2 earned runs. Again, really just some players on this ball club that have like 1 or 2 at bats. So it's a non-common opponent. Right, Brewers and Red Sox haven't played a ton over the years against each other, so a lot of these lineups going in a little bit of an unknown here. But when you look at Cutter Crawford and kind of what he has done so far this season, month of May. I mean, first of all, he had a pretty darn fantastic month of April. He was 1-1 with a 1.65 ERA. So I mean, he lit it up in April. The one blemish on there was like his start against the Cubbies, where he picked up a loss, went 6 innings, but gave up 3 earned runs. Before that, he gave up 2 total earned runs in the month of April. And you look at May, really one blemish on there too was the loss against Tampa Bay, where he gave up 4 earned runs. Otherwise, it's been 2, 2, and 1 outside of that 4. So Brewers offense got to kick her into gear. Got to kick her in gear. Got to get out of their little bit of a funk that they've got going on right now. And try to be able to put up some runs against Cutter Crawford, who's been, I would say, solid this year. 2-2 with that 2.17 ERA. I mean, we went through the games there, so I would expect Bryce Terang to be back in the lineup, hitting at the leadoff spot. So maybe more of a typical Brew Crew lineup coming in tonight. The rest of the series, as we kind of look ahead, because we want to peek into this Cubs series, especially the game on Monday, because we won't be on. But Colin Ray is going to get a start on Saturday for the Crew, and then on Sunday they've got it listed as a little TBD, but gotta think it's probably going to be Tobias Myers, I think, is what they're kind of thinking right now. But Colin Ray coming off of that game against Houston on Sunday, 4 1/3, 8 hits, 5 earned runs for Colin Ray, and Colin Ray, when you look at his month of May, hasn't been the greatest. Mostly his last 3 games in the month of May, because May 1st against Tampa, I mean, he threw 6 innings, no earned runs, and just 4 hits. But his last 3 games, in fact, if we want to go his last 4 out of his last 5, we add in that Tampa one, but before that he was with the Yankees. He's a little up and down, maybe is the best way to put it. But I mean, that Yankees game, he had no decision, but he gave up 3 home runs, 5 of them being 5 earned runs. That was back on April 26th. Then May 7th against Kansas City, 4 earned runs. Pittsburgh, 3 earned runs. And that was in a loss. And then obviously with the Houston one there. So I would say maybe struggling here a little bit. You'd like to see him kind of get back to what he was kind of doing at the beginning of the season, right? A little bit of beginning of the season there where he was pitching incredibly well. Considering the expectations, we didn't have a ton for him. We didn't really know what to expect from Colin Ray, but hopefully he can kind of get back to that and give the Crew a nice start this upcoming weekend. Here's the starters. I'm hoping the starters are able to eat up some of these innings, go deep in here, because not to overlook this series by any means, because I think this series is big to maintain that lead over the Cubs before the Cubs come over for their 4-game set on Memorial Day weekend. I would like that 2-game cushion, maybe even a little bit of a bigger cushion there. But I also want, bullpen fresh, ready to go for this Cubs series, because I think this is going to be for Memorial Day weekend to finish off the month of May. This is a big time series here. And I guess another question I'll throw out to you baseball fans: when do you use Memorial Day as that benchmark? Some do. So some look at Memorial Day as a benchmark, or the benchmark, or their first benchmark. Maybe we got certain ones throughout the season. Maybe it's Memorial Day, and then it's 4th of July or All-Star break and that such. We've already gotten through 1 quarter of the season. But I mean, come on. The fan in me, the competitor in me, I wouldn't love nothing more for the Cubs to come into Milwaukee and the Brewers sweep them. Sweep them. 4 games. Taking 4 games. I mean, that would be fantastic. I mean, best case scenario, Brewers, let's say, still up 2 in this series when they begin Monday. Then you get the mops out. It's not the brooms. You get the mops out, because you're deep cleaning and you're sweeping the crap out of them. You take 4 out of there, I mean, then you're up 6 over the Cubbies. I mean, come on now. That would be the ultimate. Could be tough, though. But that's why I'm hoping for this series. You at least take 2 out of 3 against Boston. You win it. But hopefully these starters can eat up some of those innings. And bullpen, be ready to go for this. It's going to be a tough series coming up with the Cubbies. Even if you're not going to series, I know I've asked this off and on throughout this week, but even if you're not going to the game on Monday or any of these games, you are a Brewers fan. Do you boo Craig Counsell? Do you boo him? Or do you give him a little bit of like, hey, thanks for the memories, maybe a little golf clap or something like that. And then you go to booing because he's the enemy, he's on the Cubs. How do you go about it? Even if you're not going, but pretend you were. All right. Let me know. Hit me up with those texts or comment on the video stream. Take a quick break. And then we'll finish up the first hour. Then we got B, Brandenburg, coming up after that. Looking to do some remodeling projects within your home or maybe your office, rec room, bedroom, living room, whatever the case may be, you need to update that flooring in that space no further than find folks, the good peeps at Carpet City Flooring Center in Wisconsin, in Eau Claire. They are in Wisconsin, obviously, but there's a premier flooring store in Wisconsin. Or maybe you wanna redo some of the tile in your showers. Hey, they do that too. Just stop on over, not sure where to start, not sure where to begin, or maybe you need some ideas of what would look good in your space. Hey, they'll hit you up over there. All right. They'll help you out over there. So just go visit them today, whenever you got you're thinking about doing some remodeling projects. All right, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire here. The entire team there will work with you. They want to be on your team. They want to be your teammates and helping you accomplish your remodeling project. Okay, so best prices in the valley, in the area, because they will match or beat the competition too. But what separates them from everybody else, they're just awesome people, and they're just like a big family over there too. So go check them out. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Yeah, it looks like a few of you on the texting line saying you're booing him. You're booing Council. Brandon's mom saying, "Hey, Council, a little yay for what he did, and a long, loud boo for going to the Cubs." Drew from Eau Claire, if I'm going, I'm booing Greg, stinky trader who could have gone to any one of the other 30 teams, and I'd have no issue. But he picked the one wrong answer. A couple more of you, I don't have names on there, but saying yes, you would boo him. So there you go. All right, that's the majority, at least on the texting line right now. That's the majority. Rest of you, hit me up. I did put up a poll question on my Twitter account at DANKASPER to get your votes over there too. Just a normal poll up there too. Yes or no. So you can vote on that over there. A couple of you, I threw out the question too. Which one at this point in time? Let's say, because I'm sure we're probably going to ask it once the season begins or once we get a little bit closer to it too. But it is OTAs and a little chit chat, and it's May and there's a little bit of excitement brewing and such. But are you more excited about the offense or the defense when it comes to this Packers team? Majority of you going with the defense. I won't go through all the text here because it just says offense or defense over there. But majority of you going with the defense that you're most excited about. And I get it, and I understand it. Now, the easy answer would be I'm excited for both. I think for me, when I look at this, boy, I could really play this and word it a couple different ways. I'm excited for what the defense could look like if they could hit their potential. I think the potential's there, and I'm excited about that potential. But I'm also excited about the offense and the continued growth from that group and from Jordan Love, year two. I think there's, maybe for some, and I heard DP Dan Patrick talk about this too, about Jordan Love and contracts with some of these quarterbacks that they're going to be getting, and he'd like to see do it another year for Jordan Love, and I think a lot of us would probably agree with that notion, but that's not how it works in the NFL and such. So easily, I'm excited for both for a couple different reasons. Just the continued growth from this offense. Got a little bit more experience now. That's not a lot of installs. It's not a lot of new guys coming in, and you're trying to get them all on the same page. It's night and day, as Jordan Love said, with where they're at this point compared to last year. So you're able to hit the ground running, right? But there's no doubt too, there's an excitement for the defense because whenever you have change, when it's a new defensive coordinator coming in, there's that optimism, there's that excitement. and then you add a couple players. You spend some money in free agency like Xavier McKinney, and then you go in the draft and you fill some areas of need with some excitement, with some speed, and then you factor in that you're changing up the style of the defense. There's of course going to be that excitement. It's still an unknown, but you're intrigued about it. You're all giddy. So, yeah, I'm not surprised whatsoever about majority going with the defense. But I think there's different levels of excitement when it comes to that. If that kind of makes sense. So, but keep your picks coming. All right, hit me up with a text. All right, easiest way to do that. So, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk as well with Brandon coming up. No inside the training room today. Dr. Crow unavailable this morning, so we're gonna get to Brandon right away. Also, your thoughts on the. It is a monumental decision in the world of college athletics, and it was a decision that I think we all knew was coming with the with the settlement and such. But NCAA and the Power Five conferences agree to a deal that will let schools pay players. Now there was some, federal antitrust cases going on. This is a settlement for that, but the NCAA and its leagues are moving forward with a multi-billion-dollar agreement to settle the 3 pending federal antitrust cases. The NCAA will pay more than $2.7 billion in damages over 10 years to past and current athletes. Sources, this is from ESPN, also said that the parties have also agreed to a revenue sharing plan, allowing each school to share up to roughly $20 million per year with its athletes. That doesn't mean, by the way, athletes are one athlete's getting $20 million. It's a pool. It's a collection. The question, though, that still is out there is how to kind of divvy that up. How are they going to divvy that up? You got Title IX. You got, for fairness, and is it just going to be straight up even for every athlete across every program? Is it going to be a little bit more for this program, but does that fall under Title IX? There's questions that have yet to be answered. And this note from this article on ESPN, several athletic directors told ESPN that they are hopeful the settlement lays the groundwork for a system in which success on the field is less dependent on which schools can spend the most money. Sources said some of the challenges to solve include figuring out how to distribute the revenue sharing money in a way that meets market needs while complying with Title IX laws and whether schools can regain control of the marketplace for college athletes, which has been outsourced during the past 3 years to booster collectives, which pay athletes via name, image, and likeness endorsement deals. So essentially, they're trying to figure out, okay, if we're a big-time football school, you'd think, okay, maybe most of the money's going to go there for these athletes. No. That doesn't comply with Title IX. So they got to figure all that stuff out yet, too. So really, this is step one. Settling all this and agreeing to this, and now you're going to be able to do this. That's step one. It's going to be a domino effect after that. They got to figure out, okay, it's a process. It's going to take a little bit, but it's not going to happen for this year because apparently the judge overseeing this has to approve it, which could take months. But the expectation is that this could start in the fall of 2025. I don't think anybody's surprised by this. And I think we're all just kind of seeing now, okay, that's step one. How is the rest of this picture going to look? How is it all going to fold out? A lot more questions here. And there's a lot and I don't think, they're close to figuring out the rest of the story, if you will. But your thoughts on it? Hit me up. Okay. Coming up next hour, too, we'll also do a little local sports roundup. Shout out to a lot of our track and field athletes who punched their tickets to state teams and individuals, tennis as well. I know baseball playoffs, softball playoffs are still going on. We got golf going on, soccer and such. So we'll do some local sports roundup with our good buddy, Mr. Brandenburg. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk with him as well. We'll hit that up. Timberwolves, game 2 tonight against the Mavericks. Can they even up that series, or can the Mavericks go up 2-0 like Boston did last night against Indiana? Timberwolves fans, if you lose game 2, are you worried? I don't think you're worried, right? You can, maybe you are. I don't know. Maybe you are. I think you're probably a little bit worried, but that series against Denver at least proved that you can battle out, and just it's a game by game approach after that. But also we'll do a little cream of the crop. Got to do a cream of the crop with B. We'll probably do that in the 8 o'clock hour here too. A couple more of you on the texting line saying, "Yep, you're booing." And I'll tell you right now, the poll on Twitter right now is literally 50-50. 50% booing, or you're not booing Craig Counsell in his return to Milwaukee on Monday. So if you don't have Twitter, you can just hit me up with a text with a vote, or you can hop on the video stream. I'll check out if we got any comments on the video stream a little bit later on. So, all right, let's finish up the second hour. Good morning, Morgs.
What's the latest, Kasper?
I got nothing.
Nothing at all? You got a new hat?
I've had it for a while.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. Is that you, the silhouette of you taking a golf swing?
It is.
That was nice. Who put that together for you?
Resonance.
Of course they did. You know what? Those guys, Ben and Matt, they're solid dudes.
Yeah, they're good.
They're fun. They're fun guys.
Yeah.
So when is the next time you're going to hit the golf course?
You mean when's the first time I'm going to hit the golf course?
You haven't been out yet?
No.
Dude, the weather.
It's been nice.
People were out in February.
I've got Little League going on right now.
Yeah.
And nobody's invited me. So
So take us to Little League. How's Hotsy liking it?
He likes it.
Yeah,
he likes it a lot.
Doing the softball thing right now, and that's her favorite sport. So we're hustling there.
He
Congrats to the Crickets, by the way.
Yep.
They did beat the Lady Dogs last night. Nicely done, Fall Creek.
I was a little proud of my little guy. He didn't really make the stop, but he loves playing third base.
He's a third baser. Siggy's a second base.
He loves the hot corner. He dove for one last night.
Getting dirty.
He didn't get it.
But he went for it.
He went for it.
I love it.
Freaking awesome to see him lay out for that.
That's right.
Yeah.
The only reason you have those uniforms is to get them dirty and stained up, right?
That's why we got them black pants and not white.
Yep, there you go. So. Which, by the way, guys at Residence, good at that kind of thing too. If you're looking for team unis or anything like that. So.
Yep, definitely.
Wednesday wild card, we had a bunch of questions that you picked from the pile, and we have some left over. I figured we would slide into the Memorial Day weekend here with putting you on the spot one more time. Kasper is going to draw a random question and share his answer with the class. All right. Should ads be on jerseys?
Ooh, no.
Why?
Jersey is a sacred thing, in my opinion. It's a sacred thing.
You don't want to NASCAR.
I don't. If Green Bay Packers all of a sudden have another logo on there, it tarnishes it a little bit.
Okay, so you want to keep
the sacred ones. See, it doesn't bother me with the Bucks because it's not really sacred to me.
Okay, so you have a lot of emotion tied up in it. Yeah. You're not being objective.
And it's probably because I don't want naming rights to Lambeau Field or anything like that. It's just
I kind of want to keep it pristine.
Yeah.
I mean, you still kind of tear up when you pull into Lambeau. If you're a Packers fan, that gets you in the feels. Yeah. It's not going to be the same if it's, got a name attached to it, or if one of the jerseys have a $5 footlong on the back.
Yeah, Packers, no. Anybody else, that's fine. How about that?
You're playing favorites.
Yeah,
but most people in Wisconsin would agree with you. That doesn't seem too far-fetched of an opinion to have.
Exactly.
So if you were going to throw one sport or one team under the bus as the first that could go with logos or ads on jerseys, and you wouldn't mind,
it's the Bucks because they already do it.
You would just let that drop and not worry about it too much. Okay.
Yep. Just put it up there. So.
What about Hudson's Little League team? They could start throwing some ads on.
They got ads on there.
Yeah, he's going to be dirty now that he's diving for the balls.
I know. I like it. So
well, you guys have a good holiday weekend.
You too. You too. All right. 1 hour in. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour on this Friday morning kicks off right now before Memorial Day weekend. Appreciate y'all tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. We got Bloomer Tony saying we've got morning DK. Shout out to all the Bloomer track and field athletes that qualified for state last night. 4x800 girls relay, ranked number 1 D2 in the state with 4 freshmen. The 4 freshmen there too, Brandon. That's pretty darn impressive, man. Broke the school record last night at Kobe. Good old Kobe. Hope to see everyone out next Friday on the fan deck at the Express game. All right, Bloomer Tony's gonna be on the fan deck too. All right, we should all be booing Craig like the old ancient booer shames Buttercup in The Princess Bride. That's a fantastic poll right there. Have a great day. That well played on there. Boo! I can just picture that. I gotta watch Princess Bride now again. So I'm so glad they didn't try to remake that movie.
Yeah.
With all the remakes out there. Brandon Burke, how you doing, man?
You can't remake it.
You can't remake
I mean, you
it.
can, but
I did not know Carrie was a Packers fan, by the way, till the schedule release video. Carrie Ells.
Who?
The guy who plays in Princess Bride.
Oh, I know Princess Bride because of Andre the Giant.
Oh, yeah. The main actor.
The star of the show.
The star.
That's why you can't remake it, because Andre is no longer with us.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you just
put The Rock in there or something like that. Yeah. Somebody's Victor Wembanyama or some tall guy or something like The Big Show.
George Mirasan.
Honestly, I did think of George Mirasan.
He's still hanging around.
He's got some movie chops with Billy Crystal already.
He does.
So, I mean, Billy Crystal was in Princess Bride.
Why aren't they remaking My Giant?
I've honestly never seen that movie.
Neither have I.
I haven't either. Hey, I need some ideas here too. So I'm gonna put this up on our Facebook group page here, but I want to see if anybody's got any ideas. We, Brandon, as part of like for the Mobile Man Cave sort of thing, and our shout out to our friends from Residence Branding Company, we're gonna be able to put together some T-shirts.
Ooh.
I know I sent you an idea, but I'm looking for more other ideas. Like I want to hit this one right. And these are going to be like free shirts that we're going to be able to give away to people. All right. So I'm looking for ideas what we should put on there. Like a funny saying. You and I were going, you didn't send me your top 5, by the way.
I did not.
We were going through some quotes from Major League. We wear shirts and caps at this level. So, appropriate sayings.
Well,
quotes.
I had one suggestion for a phrase from Major League, but you never got back to me.
Yeah. Well, I was waiting for the other 4 for your top 5.
The number 1 was just that good. He carried the water.
So if anybody's got any ideas, like something we should put on a tee that you would wear, because this is going out to all the people out there that we're going to be handing out free tees, free T-shirts, let me know. Hit me up with an idea. You don't have to draw it out or anything. Just, shoot me a message or something like that. Because you're all creative out there, right? So good quote or something on there. It's got to involve the Sports Talk logo. So just kind of have that in your mind, because can't just have a T-shirt with a quote on there, but nobody will know what the heck that's from.
We're marketing ourselves here.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mobile Man Cave debuting next week. Brandon won't be able to see it because you're going to be at State Track and Field.
That's true.
A tradition unlike any other for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to do a little local sports roundup. I know Brandon had a very long night last night with a lot going on. So, we'll do that probably just past 8 o'clock. Little local sports roundup there, B. But really quick to kind of begin things off, I think probably the biggest story out there is the NCAA ruling out there, which we all expected it, I think, to happen. And we've kind of gone through it already here, what it means. But I mean, I think this is just step 1 in a very long process of trying to figure things out. Because I think now probably the biggest question is like, how do you allocate that $20 million to your athletes while complying with rules like Title IX? Because I think on the surface for a lot of people are like, oh, okay, so a team like Alabama is probably going to give most of their money to their football players. Well, you got to comply with other stuff over there too. So I think now that this is going to be official, now they can move on to the next step of figuring out stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, but I'm curious to see how they are going to be able to figure that out. And I know there's some talk about, like, could this help alleviate some of the NIL issues out there, which I don't know if that's necessarily going to do that either.
No, because, I mean, So obviously, if some is good, more is better, and
Mhm.
there's going to be athletes that if they're in demand, like you're still going to be kind of getting that as well. You're going to be
Mhm.
getting that NIL attention.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that might be a deciding factor for an athlete. Like, hey, if I'm getting paid this much from this school, but it's the same from this school, the deciding factor might be which school can give me more NIL, sort of stuff. So I don't know, but it's a thing. It's a very monumental thing. I mean, this is first time in college sports, right? Amateurism isn't a thing anymore. Can we say at least at the college level? I guess even at the high school level for some states, Wisconsin voted it down, but
Yeah,
for NIL is like amateurism not a thing anymore at this point in time. I
yeah.
don't know.
That's.
Well,
I think might be something to what you're saying.
maybe at the middle school level for the love of the game, the recreation ones. That's the weekend warriors. That's the amateurism that we're looking for.
Wondering why NIL never made it to slow pitch softball.
I think I wouldn't say that. There's back in the day they had a TV show called Softball 360, Brandon, that sometimes would play on FS1. I remember, or Fox Sports. The long haul truckers. I remember that team would go all over. Oh yeah.
Let's put it this way: that was never out there for teams like mine.
I purposely went to a tournament just to watch all the hype. And just a bunch of
how
big
was it?
guys that hit
Home runs.
bombs. So
Were they very upper body heavy,
Mhm.
like walking
Oh,
around,
yeah.
kind of like
Oh, yeah.
almost like waddling.
Well, remember some of those bats had guys' like signatures on there too, like signature bats. I know BIT probably had like 10 of them on your team.
Of course.
The Bellinger Institute of
Yeah.
Technology exploding.
Sometimes it actually got really hard to keep track of like all of our different like high priced bats and people and all that good stuff. Like it was tough.
You kind of needed a manager, didn't you?
Almost.
Over there. So, especially with your schedule of playing tournaments and that.
Right. I mean, we were at our peak. We were rocking like 3 tourneys a summer.
We'll say, helping out with Little League, like last night, I was behind the dish, helping out with the catcher, like just getting the balls, a couple foul backs, and like it's like cat-like reflexes. I'm like, I'm getting ready for maybe hitting the field again. No, I won't do that ever again. So, hey, speaking of baseball, Brandon, our poll question that we kind of have out there, it's not till Monday and not to overlook a series. Do you boo Craig Counsell if you go to that game on Monday?
I think I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon's vote is the ultimate deciding vote here, too.
I won't go that far.
You are. You are, because you are my Brewer dude. But you boo Craig Counsell?
I would, but that's me.
Now, do you boo him because he's with the Cubs, or do you boo just because it's like I boo everybody that's on a rival team?
No.
Or is it just because of his decision to
I'm
go
not
there?
that way. As far as just booing because, just because it's someone from the opponent. But
Right.
And I honestly, like, this is one of those things where, like, if I went to the series, I would probably boo them, but then after the fact, I'm over it. Like, to me, this is just kind of the last checkpoint of kind of the Craig Counsell going to the Cubs thing. Like, you had, there was just certain things you had to see to kind of, realize, like, okay, this happened, whatever. Like, it was, there was obviously the report when it first came out. There was like the press conference. There was the first time you saw him in spring training, like the first time the Brewers played him.
Yep.
Like, and at this point, like, I'm almost happy it's here just because, like, I just want it to be done. Like, okay, do it. Move on.
It doesn't have the build up of like a Favre, and I think a lot of that is though too because you only got one game and you have a week to build it up. Whereas we've got 3 games before that, and you don't really have a build up amount of time. I'm sure Monday that day will be lead ups and talk about it.
Are you saying some fans that might have been making very, very extensive use of the pregame tailgating might have some noise to make?
I'll be curious. I don't know if we'll see it, if they'll pan over to creative signs, anything like that.
I don't think so. Not because I don't think people would want to, but yeah.
Are signs a thing at baseball games that much?
Kind of more. It seems like to me it's either more so for like little kids.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's my first game, or hey, it's my birthday.
Yeah.
Usually that's the case.
Yeah. It's not like at football or anything like that. But
no, there's nobody coming to a baseball game holding a D in a fence.
Anything that says like thanks for the memories, Greg, or something like that. But
And then the follow up would be would like TV show it.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. See, the thing is like, if it were me and I went to Favre's second game at Lambeau as a Viking, so it'd be his last game at Lambeau.
Yeah. 09, yeah. Or 2010, sorry.
Yep. I didn't boo. But here's the thing. I don't boo when I go to games. And it's just more, I'm very different when I watch a game in person than I am, say, in my own house. Like, I'm actually fairly quiet when I'm at a game. Yes, when Green Bay's on a defense, I may, kind of do a little thing.
It's 3rd and 10.
Do your stand up, do your clap. But I'm complete. Like, I think people who've never been to a game with me would probably think I'm loud and boisterous. I'm pretty darn quiet, actually.
I'm kind of similar. Where like when like after a while, like when it's like, hey, make some noise, I'm kind of like I'll like clap or something, but I'm not like screaming my head off.
No. Unless there was a couple games where, like, for instance, a couple years ago when Green Bay beat Dallas, like towards the end there in overtime, I was getting really into it. And then after the game, like I get pumped up. Like when the game's over with, then I get a little boisterous, like just hooting and hollering. But I think I'm so focused on watching that it just doesn't click to me that I have to be like hooting and hollering and cheering.
Sounds like you need a few more Man Cave lights.
Well, you know what? If Lambeau Field will make that an official beverage over there at
or even just they don't even have to be like official. It could be just like friend of.
Yeah, just have it over there. Yeah, we got to get our beer people on that, for crying out loud. Do their jobs. So, but that's the thing. Like when I go, I can't even have a beverage really or a lot because I'm usually driving or I don't want to be that person. So, but yeah, I'm pretty darn quiet, and I think that kind of surprises some people when I go. Even if I'm going with a buddy of mine, it's not just if I've got Hudson or something. I'm probably the quietest one there, and I think it's just because I'm so focused on the play at hand. Whereas baseball, I mean, let's be real. When I was the game 5 I was at when they beat the Diamondbacks and Nyjer Morgan walked off, I went nuts.
That's fair.
Because let's be real, confetti was falling, and that's the
that
permission
not happened
to go
in your lifetime, in my lifetime, and many of our lifetimes.
And Veronica threw away the confetti I kept, which is still a sour point to me right now. I had it in my plastic beer cup that I kept. The confetti that fell in there, and it's gone. The gold confetti is gone because we were up high. We were at the right field pole, so I could not see down. I could not see Corey Hart. Like, so if there was a liner hit over there, didn't know if it was out or not.
You just had to wait and hear what if the crowd like cheered or
yep. But then we could see like people walking up on the scaffold. Like, what the heck are they? Oh, getting ready just in case. So. Now that one was that was also a night too that let's just say there was a styrofoam cooler that was left somewhere in a parking lot. Somebody may have gotten a little too excited, if you know what I mean.
Had imbibed a little much.
So, but yeah, I don't know if anybody else is like that. Like, if I'm watching at home, I'll kind of go a little hoot and holler or like, what the, at a game, I kind of mumble under my breath. And I don't know if it's because I don't want to be that guy.
You're just afraid of getting yelled at by the old fans?
Probably. Oh, that's the one time, like, I will stand and I could hear the mumbling back and I'm like, no, it's 3rd down.
And again, as someone that's not a Packer fan, like, that's not limited to just Packer fans. I know that there's like some Badger fans that are kind of that way. And even a few years ago when the first 2 rounds, I think it was 2 years ago, whatever it was, when the first 2 rounds of the tourney were in Milwaukee and the Badgers played there, I had a friend that went and was like, I forget, they played like Colgate and I think they lost Iowa State. And, at certain points of the game, like, hey, they're on defense, he's up and he's cheering and he was getting yelled at for it. And he's like, he's kind of, and I give him credit because he could have definitely not kept it together, but he did. He's like, he just turns to people and like, look, it's the NCAA tournament. He goes, if now is not the time to yell and cheer and make noise and try to help your team. When is? But for some people, and again, that has been a problem at time with from what I've heard with sometimes with Packer fans, but also with like Badger fans at the Kohl Center or at Camp Randall or wherever, that it's
you gotta stand up when
right,
it's like fourth down,
like that's,
or
that to me, that's what separates going to play at Cameron Indoor or an elite, or like going to an SEC school for football.
Yes,
like that's what separates the good from the great when it comes to environment.
Yes,
like you need to be loud if you're the home team.
Right. You want your stadium to be a home field, home court advantage.
You want opposing teams to be rolling their eyes saying, "Oh no, we got to go play there." Like we're not gonna be able to hear ourselves think.
The best part is like when you're at a football game and you're like loud, and that team all of a sudden has an offsides or they got to call timeout because they can't get it. That's
you help do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's put it this way: there's not much that all of us can do to help somebody win on the sports field, sports ball land, but we can do that.
Yep. I always wonder. So like when it comes to a baseball game, and it's whether it's your pitcher's up there, it's bases loaded, full count, whatever, big moment, everybody's standing up or something like that. Is that more distracting for the hitter or the pitcher?
I'm honestly not sure how much it is, because I'm willing to bet they're both pretty locked in.
Yeah. But I always wondered that because, it's like, because that one's different. You see it on both sides, whether, for the home crowd, right? Everybody's standing. If it's like, oh crap, Christian Yelich, bases loaded, he hits this, we win it, sort of thing. Everybody's standing, clapping. Or, if it's a big time, try to get this out, everybody's standing.
Yeah, it might just depend more on the player and if they're used to it.
Yeah,
both as a pitcher and as a hitter.
Right. So, we gotta come up with proper stadium etiquette here, right? Proper stadium, what we can do, what we can't. You stand up, rules.
That sounds like something good for the summer.
I think so.
Mark it down.
Mental note. I'll put it
in the mental Rolodex.
Yeah. The rules of attending a game. I like it.
By the way, you'll appreciate this. Yesterday, I officially started my Festivus 2024 list.
Really?
Yes. And it wasn't anything like recent. It was just like, oh yeah, I should probably start doing that. So I'm like, oh yeah, I've got a couple things off the top of my head. So I put them down.
I'm trying to remember. I made that comment 2 weeks ago to somebody,
did.
And I can't remember who it was now because I didn't write it down. Who was it? Or what happened that it was on my Festivus list? I can't remember now. I'm going to have to go back on Twitter maybe. And
was it Mike Mayock not being on?
No. Man. See, this is what happens to me. I think I'm going to remember it, and I never do. So, texter saying I will never go to Camp Randall again because of the people complaining about us standing. They said the only place to stand is the student section.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, I am poo-pooing on the people that said that to you.
Right.
Like that's ludicrous.
Ludicrous, as in
and not ludicrous.
Roll out.
No, yeah, exactly. They should roll out.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll talk some more Brewers coming up after these quick words. With Memorial Day weekend nearly upon us here, don't forget, if you're needing some supplies, maybe if you're doing some camping, some grilling out, some cooking, or anything like that, you got two places that you need to hit up here. First off, you go to Hy-Vee, grab some Man Cave Lights, grab some Dan Good Burgers, or whatever snacks and supplies that you may need. You go over to Hy-Vee, grab them, and then if you want some brats, head on over to Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire here and grab yourself some of those Bloody Mary brats, but save me a couple packages so I get some time to pick those up, because those are fantastic, by the way. So, or whatever flavor that you're wanting to try out over there. So, if you're going to be doing some shopping for maybe some Memorial Day weekend supplies, whether it's camping or just grilling out in the backyard, go visit our good friends from Hy-Vee and Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. I'm still scrolling through my Twitter feed trying to find this.
You can't find it.
It's got to be AJ Store. It's got to be the AJ Store thing with him leaving and for the transfer portal, because I've gone through I've passed where he was moving, but it's got to be AJ Store. That's where I think it is. All right. See, this is part of my problem here, Brandon. When I'm focused on something, it's the only thing that I want to focus on until I figure it out. I can't shut it off. I can't shut it off. So that's what I think it is, though. Which wouldn't.
It's like a thread popping on a shirt. You just gotta try to pull it, and it just keeps unwinding and unwinding.
Yeah, I think it is that. So I like that, though. Oh, do we have a marker in here so I can write it? Okay, remind me to write that up on the marker board for that stadium rules thing over there. So, and this is just general ones.
Right.
Because every stadium's got their own thing. Like, I'm not going to go and say, Brandon's Vikings got to stop blowing that annoyingly awful Vikings thing that they do.
Will after the Packers stop doing the Go Pack Go thing after every play.
You think that's annoying?
Yes, I do.
Why?
What's the difference?
Ooh, I mean, come on.
Go Pack Go.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not.
It's making noise.
It's not manufactured noise and pumping it in like you guys do.
It's trying to manufacture noise from the fans. What's the difference?
But it goes to the point where we were saying we got to stand up and be loud. That's fans doing that. You personally, Brandon.
So then you have no problem with the Skol chant.
Skol's fine.
Okay.
Skol's fine.
Okay.
It annoys me, but it's fine.
Okay.
The horn, no. That's dumb. You do it on first downs. That's dumb. You're overdoing it.
Well, you got to learn that. Be happy that somehow that doesn't get incorporated to spelling, because Minnesota sports teams love to spell things. Go to a Gophers game.
Why?
They spell after every first down.
You're killing. You're kidding me, right? You're killing me, but you're kidding me.
No, it's just in general, they like to spell.
All right. Are they like the spelling bee capital of the world, or
that I don't know. I don't think so.
All right. Interesting. So, let's talk some baseball, though.
Mm-hmm.
Brewers. I know we were talking a little bit about Council, but let's talk about the games at hand now. Series with Boston to wrap up their longest road trip of the season. I think they want to end this road trip. It hasn't been the greatest, going up against Houston and Miami and such. Hopefully they can end it with winning the series here. But offense kind of maybe going through a little bit of they're still top 5 overall in a lot of statistical categories here, but when it's a game like Freddie Peralta had, and literally the only run came on a leadoff home run from the Marlins, and that was it in a game that lasted under 2 hours over there.
Hustle out, hustle in.
So the question I want to ask, because a couple people threw this out there or asked this, and I know the answer, but I want to rephrase it a little bit differently and ask you this. So there were a few people saying, why is Andrew Monasterio starting at second base? And I thought it was kind of funny. For the longest time, the Brewers never faced a left-handed pitcher, and then 3 games in that Marlins series was all left-handed pitching. I mean, it's simple as Monasterio hits left-handed pitching, right? That's why he was getting a start over Turang. But with the way Turang has been playing, do you keep him in that lineup?
I think you have to find a balance there. And for me, I think I was a little bit more questioning Owen Miller at first base. I mean, Andrew Monasterio, you can make the case he hits lefties well. No offense, but Owen Miller doesn't really hit anybody well. Like that, there's a balance there. Like when it comes to like platoon splits and stuff like that, like I and had this conversation even with when Craig Counsell was here about like I think it's important to listen to what the numbers tell you, but that in that case, like with Monasterio, okay, I get it, but I mean, Bryce Terang, like inevitably, like you kind of figured he would make his way into some of those games, just because you face a lefty twice and then a righty's in there the third time you're facing him. But like, also I also think you have to make sure you're actually like looking at what the numbers say, because like in Owen Miller's case, Owen Miller has a lower career OPS than Jake Bauers does against lefties, and that was something after I'd seen them like, and like obviously Jake Bauers, has been better, better recently, and solid, but like not a world beater. But it's like if you're gonna kind of try to play the matchups, make sure you kind of look and see what the matchups are actually telling you, not just you don't want to get into that spot where you're just kind of what I would say is lazy managing, where it's a lefty on the mound, got to start a righty. Like if
right.
if the numbers are if the the history doesn't say that, then don't do that, because that's just kind of a trope I think sometimes some managers will fall into. It's like, well, there's a lefty out there. Well, we got to get the righties out there, even if the numbers say the righty doesn't necessarily hit the lefty any good. So, I mean, as long as it's not like a recurring thing, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. As we get deeper into the year and something like this happens again, I think the bigger issue for the Brewers right now, and it's going to happen at times during the year, is just there's kind of a lack of options in certain ways when it comes to offensively. I think you're seeing the injury to Rhys Hoskins really hurt in a series like that, where chances are he's probably out there a couple times at first base and hits lefties well. And as we've talked about many times on this show, that's been something the Brewers have struggled with over the years. And they just don't have that kind of backup corner infielder that hits lefties. That's just not something this roster has right now.
So was it with that series with the Marlins just bad timing because they went up against three left-handed starters?
I think so. And, obviously the Marlins have struggled, but they still have good pitching. So it was just like, it just felt like, and this happens in baseball where you just have those series where like, it just feels like not really much went right.
Right.
And you hate to say, well, and they still won one. Like, you don't get yourself into too much trouble if you're not getting swept. And they very easily could have in that series. I mean, they could have won 2 of 3. They could have won, any of those, games. But like, it's just kind of one of those where I think you have to do a little damage control and say like, okay, what run, how much went right here? How much went wrong here? If you kind of make the list, you could say like, oh, it could have been worse.
Right.
And, the thing right now that kind of helps them is the fact that nobody in the NL Central is necessarily playing super great.
Yeah, because they still have a 2-game lead over the Cubbies.
Right, and that's there's 2 ways to look at it. You can look at it and say, well, then that's a good chance to put some distance on. That's true, but when you see a team's record at the end of the year, say a team is like 90-72. Well, they weren't. I'm not going to get out my pocket calculator here and see like what's the winning percentage on that. But like generally teams aren't like that all year. So like if you win 57% of your games, you're not winning 57% of your games all season long. It's kind of ups and downs. It's like if you're a 300 hitter, chances are from April 1st to September 30th, you weren't hitting 300.
Right.
You might have been a little bit higher, you might have been a little bit lower, and it's just kind of that was the end point.
So now you got the Red Sox. We've got Wilson that's going to get to start. Colin Ray's going to get to start on Saturday. I believe it's Tobias Myers is supposed to get to start on Sunday.
Believe so.
I know Brewers.com has it as a TBD, but I think that's kind of – and Peralta's probably going to pitch because they want – I know he just pitched the other day, but that way it sets up for him and the Cubs at some point too, right? So, but looking at the series against the Red Sox now coming in here, I mean – kind of, what is it going to be a lot of the same what we saw from this road trip? Do you? I mean, are you concerned about what we've seen from the offense a little bit, or do you just think it was, again, kind of going with it was just bad matchups at that point?
I'm not sure if this offense is like a top 5 offense, but I also think that it was kind of a rough matchup, and going to Miami, which is not really a hitter's park, and like there's just a couple things that just for those 3 games didn't work.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to kind of give that the benefit of the doubt. Coming off an off day now on the weekend, like I think they'll rebound to some extent.
Okay. And it's hard, I know, because I really want to focus on the Cubs one coming up here too. But I mean, and then we won't be in on Monday, so we can kind of take a look at that series in that 4-game series here too. But I mean, best case scenario, right, Brandon? Let's say they go into that series and they still hold a 2-game lead over the Cubs. and then they don't sweep them, they mop them. Take all 4. I mean, you're talking about a 6-game lead after that, then too.
It'd be fun. I mean, usually Memorial, and that's easier said than done, but usually Memorial Day is kind of the first day where you kind of really just start to look at the standings.
And that's where I was gonna. My next question I was gonna ask you was, do you use Memorial Day as a benchmark at all, or do we tend to overrate benchmarks when it comes to baseball?
I mean, it's usually, I think you kind of have a decent idea. Like, things can change, but you're almost 2 months into the year, and that's you're almost roughly a third into the year at that point.
Right.
So I think it's okay. I mean, you don't have to, if your team is struggling, if you're a Reds fan, you're not going to say, "Oh, the season's over," blow it up, that kind of thing. But at the same time, if you're at that point, let's put it this way: 2 months ago, if we're talking here and said, "Hey, at the at Memorial Day, the Brewers will be in first place," we don't, just assuming that that's the case coming out of this weekend, whether it's 1 game or 4 games or whatever the heck. I feel like most Brewer fans would have said, "Okay, that's fine. That sounds good."
Yeah, I would. Absolutely, I would.
I mean, especially given kind of some of the uncertainty, coming into this year.
Right. So, but I mean, it's never too early, I think, to kind of maybe talk about at this point in time. And when I say it's not too early, there's going to be some rumblings about trades, right? With if there was, I mean, is it just that obvious? If the Brewers were going to make a move, it's got to be with the pitching, right? Now, my question is it just clear-cut starter, because you want a guy that eats innings? Is it ideally maybe a guy that's like a Bryce Wilson who's getting started, who can, maybe kind of be a rover where he could start some games, but also long relief type of role? How does Aaron Ashby maybe, factor into this thing? I mean, it's been kind of quiet on that end, it seems like, a little bit too.
Right.
And DL Hall, does he go to the bullpen?
Yeah, sounds like that's a possibility. So, I mean, I think you just want to kind of put guys where they're, in the best position to succeed. So, and as we've seen with someone like Bryce Wilson, things can change. If DL Hall comes back up and, say his velocity is a little bit closer to what they were expecting, and, he pitches well in relief, and they start to stretch him out a little bit, yeah, you could put him back in the rotation, or you could just have another weapon on the bullpen. That's not a bad thing.
Right.
We've seen in the past, I mean, 2018 is going to be kind of the shining example of this team having a tremendous bullpen and starters that can eat innings and making it work.
Right. Yeah. I'll be curious to see what DL, because it sure sounds like they're gonna, when he does come back, they're gonna put him in the pen, and I don't think that's a knock on his potential to be a starter, right? I mean, it kind of follows Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff's path a little bit, doesn't it?
And Freddie Peralta some too. Remember in 2018, he was pitching kind of in relief down the stretch. We know that he started out in the rotation, but just because you're there in your first year doesn't mean that that's going to be your final destination.
Didn't Jimmy Nelson kind of do that too a little bit?
I don't remember.
He kind of came in towards that
could be. I don't remember offhand, but it's something they've done a fair amount of with some of these pitchers. So it's not, it's certainly not like a death sentence or anything like, oh, he has to be a reliever. It's just kind of where he fits in right now, and that can always change.
One more question. I know maybe the timing of this is well, look at how they're doing right now, but the whole season as a whole, last year they were kind of they were kind of called, questioned, and even when they were first hired, kind of questioned. But the tandem of the hitting coaches, kind of old school, new school approach, right? Last year, offense, we know how bad the offense was. Well, you look at hitting coach, same as pitching. Pitching's off, you look at pitching coaches. Well, you look at a lot of the offensive stuff now. Is that a credit to them, or is it? I mean, but they were like hitting coaches last year, or is that a Pat Murphy thing?
I think it's just a combination of things. I don't think, when things are going well, it's never one person that's responsible, and when things are going bad, it's never one person's responsible. Even though, coaches will kind of get scapegoated for that sometimes. But you're right. The fact that you're not hearing kind of a word necessarily about the co-hitting coaches is obviously that's a good thing. It's a good thing for them too,
right?
Because they're doing their job, and the team's overall hitting pretty well,
right? Yeah, you hear Chris Hook's name still a lot, but that's because it's more praise. I would say at that point. Right. So, but
it's easier to remember one name than two.
That is true. How many people, without looking it up, could name the hitting coaches? I don't know if anybody can. I mean, maybe a couple, but not a ton out there. So, but we've heard Chris Hook's name for a while now. It
Right.
seems like so. All right, let's take a quick break. What were you looking at me like that for?
What?
You were like, gave me a frown and all that.
I was like stopping
Oh.
from slouching.
Okay.
If you're watching on the video stream, go to the replay.
All right, let's take a break and we'll finish up the second hour coming up after these quick words. Don't forget, if you are also maybe doing a little fishing this weekend, if you got any luck, send us those photos so we can put them up on the Tilden Gun Trophy Gallery up at our website, sportstalk1051.com. Just hit up the outdoors tab over there. You can, and a big thanks to everybody who has sent over photos, whether it's been from turkey hunting or fishing or anything like that. And don't forget, with Father's Day coming up here, surprise Dad maybe with that new turkey shotgun or deer rifle this year. Visit our good friends Tilden Gun. You can also check out their website, tildengun.com. Huge selection, all at the best prices in the area. We're going to do a little local sports roundup coming up just past 8 o'clock. A ton of stuff going on right now. So we'll hit that up coming up here in just a little bit. We've got the Timberwolves in action tonight. We got the Timberwolves in action tonight. Game 2 going up against the I was gonna say Denver Nuggets, Dallas Mavericks here, Brandon. But we'll save our picks for picks and predicts at the back end of this here too. But would you call this a pivotal, crucial, or considering how that series with the Nuggets went? Not going to panic too much if the Timberwolves drop another game.
It's not a must win, but you probably should.
Yeah.
I mean,
so pivotal, probably.
You don't want to go down 0-2,
especially
going with the
going to Dallas.
Going to Dallas with the are they home court flipping?
Yeah. I will say pivotal game 2 for Minnesota tonight. So, but yeah, kind of had this on Wednesday, but I'll ask you this. The NBA is in my opinion, it's star power, individual. It's a team sport, but it's so individualistic. Like, fans are fans of players, I feel like, more than teams now these days.
Right. Yeah, you don't hear very many like football fans are like, well, I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan, I'm not a Chiefs fan. But you'll hear people say like, I'm a LeBron fan or I'm whoever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially kids and younger people, because again,
I was the same way.
Yeah,
I was a Barry Sanders fan.
Right. And I'll use this as an example because of Hudson. He's a Bucks fan, but right now he's a big time Anthony Edwards fan. He wants an Anthony Edwards, shirt, jersey for his birthday. But he's a Bucks fan too, and all that. But he's rooting for the Timberwolves because of Anthony Edwards. So with that, Anthony Edwards, we know, has been the talk of the postseason, right? Does the NBA want Anthony Edwards in the finals, or Luka, who was that guy? I mean, Luka, I feel like is almost kind of a little gotten not under the radar. I mean, he's all NBA first team and such, but it's been Anthony Edwards in this postseason. Or maybe the other side of this question is, does it mean more to Anthony Edwards or Luka's legacy to get to the finals?
That's a good question.
I almost feel like it's Luka right now.
That was where I was leaning, but
and I don't want to say it's because Anthony Edwards has a lot of time. He kind of does, but you don't want to assume that they're going to get back.
Right.
That sort of thing.
It feels like the Wolves are ascending and it feels like Dallas has kind of been at a certain level for a while.
Yeah. Kyrie's older, how much more, that sort of stuff. But the question to me too is like, does the NBA want? It's tough. Like, I feel like Anthony Edwards, if he gets to the finals, that really, really, I mean, all offseason will be about Anthony Edwards.
Right. And I think that whatever the finals matchup is, you're going to have some young stars in the spotlight, because in the East, you've got obviously Boston with theirs, and then you also got Indiana if they make the comeback with Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
Assuming, he's not out long term or anything like that.
Right. And I almost feel like I think if you asked a casual fan, as Jason Tatum won an MVP or a championship, I almost feel like some people would say yes.
Right.
Just because they've been to the conference finals for how many times? It's like, what? He hasn't? Sort of thing. Whereas I almost feel like right now I'm kind of going towards the Luka one right now. And it's not. I don't want to assume that the Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards are going to win one later on and such. But it's just I don't know. It's been so much Anthony Edwards talk this postseason, rightfully so. I mean, the guy has been phenomenal,
awesome.
and it's been a coming out kind of party for him. Maybe that's better for the Mavericks in the sense of for Luka and such, because that attention has been on Anthony Edwards. Where are they kind of flying under the radar a little bit? Maybe a little bit, sort of. I don't know, but it'll be interesting. Either way, whether it's the Timberwolves or the Mavericks, they're going to have an ascending younger player in that NBA Finals.
Yep.
And I don't know who they'll probably Boston at this
Probably.
point.
I mean, they're up 2-0. They're they were the best team in the regular season, so like it's not a stretch to say we believe the Celtics will win that series.
If Porzingis cannot play at all in the finals, I feel like that almost evens it out regardless if they play Dallas or Minnesota, to where then that series is a little bit more interesting. Like if Porzingis is out there and he's healthy, I mean, I still feel like it's Boston's regardless of who they play. But if Porzingis doesn't play, I feel like it almost evens the field out a little bit. And then it gets kind of interesting and it's exciting at that.
Yes.
But I ultimately feel like the best matchup that maybe they want that would draw eyes is probably Minnesota and Boston.
I think so.
Overall.
I think so.
For the attention. So, and we know the NBA will market that, right?
Oh, yes.
Well, with especially their individual players over there. So, but then I think you go into an offseason with Minnesota. Let's say they fall short. I don't want to write them off or anything like that, but let's say they fall short. Then you enter an interesting offseason too, I think. Like, okay, how do you capitalize on that? How do you get better to take that next step?
Right.
What do they do in the offseason? Is Cat the perfect running mate for him? Do you need somebody else? What about Rudy Gobert? That sort of stuff. That's going to be interesting.
It is.
Both Bucks and T-Wolves have very interesting off seasons ahead.
Yes.
So, still want a Bucks and Timberwolves finals matchup though, so we can hit that up and take the mobile man cave over there.
Put Hudson on the line versus Duluth. Winner take all. Wisconsin puts up Hudson. Minnesota puts up Duluth.
I like Hudson though. I like the city of Hudson.
I do too, but in some ways it's kind of East Minnesota.
It is. It is. It's too bad we just couldn't fight for the UP.
Right. That's what would have been easier for me. Like if the Packers and the Lions playing like the NFC title game, they should find a way to incorporate the UP in there.
We were talking about some top 5 annoyances that are not sports related. That's one of mine. Why is the UP not Wisconsin?
Oh, yeah.
The UP in general just annoys me.
There should be like some sort of 3-team trade or 3-state trade where like Illinois gets like Janesville or Beloit or something, and we gotta be able to work.
Can we do some trade? Yeah,
land trade, state trades.
Yes, we'll cut off a portion of this state to get the UP. It just how it just never made sense to me. Just doesn't make sense to me. It's almost like kind of like Canada. You got Canada and then Alaska. That's ours. You got that gap in between there. So, no, give us the
Find
UP.
a way to acquire like Toronto. Just cut it right across.
Yep. Oh, all right. There you go. 2 in. We got one more to go. We're going to kick off the 8 o'clock hour, though. Pretty darn busy because there's a lot of stuff to catch up on the local scene here. Local sports roundup coming up after these quick words. Final hour kicking off right now on this Friday morning. Where did you get that shirt, by the way? The property of the Shuckers baseball. Biloxi?
In Biloxi, yep.
Did you go to a game down
Yes.
there? Nice.
Yep.
That a boy.
And go figure that in Biloxi, Mississippi, they weren't exactly stocked at the ballpark with hoodies.
Yeah.
So that's the closest I got. Is this?
Was it a little chill? Or did you just want a hoodie?
I just want a hoodie.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm like, well, I want to get something. I'm like, well, I would, but this is the next best thing, which is just basically like a long sleeve
Nice
shirt. So I wear this a lot.
Yeah.
As you can tell, because it's got a little wear on it, but
you can't tell. So.
Yeah.
We're going to talk some local sports coming up here in just a little bit. We got a cream of the crop coming up as well. Get back to maybe a little bit more baseball talk. I haven't noticed anything yet, but has Justin Jefferson been traded yet?
No, have you put together your own personal Green Bay Packers jersey swap for him?
No.
Like with a little Photoshop in there?
No. Did that ever come out to be real or not last weekend when he was spotted outside of like the Jets practice facility? Like there was a video of him, like, or was that like just an old video or something like
let's
that?
put it this way: do players like go to other teams' facilities? I don't think I've ever heard that.
I saw pictures and photos, so I don't know.
Maybe Bigfoot was like in the background if you look.
Don't mess with our mascot.
No, I'm just saying maybe that's where he was.
By the way, there will be a Bigfoot representation in the Mobile Man Cave.
Nice.
I already got something.
Nice.
So, yep. So, looking forward to that. Oh, yeah. All right, let's do the local sports roundup brought to you by Amundsen's Appliance Center. I mean, track and field.
Where do you want to start?
I know, and we're not going to do it on purpose, but ton of athletes that won and are going to state and such. But, I mean, congratulations to all of you, first of all.
Yes.
We're probably going to miss some of you, and that's not by choice. So.
Yes, track's one of those sports. It's a bit like wrestling where it's kind of tough to get everything because you have so many. But
right.
Obviously, for around here, Division I, Chippewa Falls girls won the sectional team title last night.
Okay.
In Hudson, and the boys were runner-up. So, and both of them are sending a lot of athletes to state next week.
So, really quick, not to interrupt, but so if they win team sectionals, does the whole team get to go?
No. It's just you don't. There's no Minnesota has like a separate team state where like if you make it to state as a team, like you compete against
Okay.
But they no. So like next
it'd
week
be like wrestling where you have the team state and then the individual.
They don't have that. So you basically you can win state as a team by just having the most points. Like there's years at state where like a team will win state and they'll have like four athletes.
Yep.
But
it's kind of like Blue Gold Track and Field at Nationals right now. They got 21 total. More the better, right? You have more chances to accumulate points if you have more athletes there sometimes.
Yep. And after I believe it was Monday for regionals, I think it was Oklahoma Memorial girls won for regionals. So you can see just kind of that can change one level to the next because it just depends on how many athletes you send. And Bloomer Tony mentioned a little bit earlier in Division II, Bloomer girls sending a big contingent. They were runner up behind Rice Lake. Rice Lake girls beat out Bloomer for that team. Both of those two teams are going to be certainly a factor at Division II down at state and have a lot of athletes down there. Going to probably score a fair amount of points there. I was in Cameron last night for Division III. The Fall Creek girls won the sectional team championship there. They won state last year. They've got a big contingent of really good athletes. Both boys and girls do, but that'll be heading down to state there next week. But a lot of area representation when you look. I mean, basically look at pretty much every school, and you're going to most of them you're going to find
some sort of
some sort of athletes heading down there that did really well and that kind of stuff. So it's a fun time. I mean, it's the sectional track might be one of the later nights of the year for me. But that's just kind of
later than last night.
Last night was sectional.
Or this morning. Oh, I had state in my mind. My bad. So
state I mean, as long as Mother Nature cooperates, state isn't actually super late.
Okay.
It's just kind of steady because it's steady all day.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and that's so state track is next Friday and Saturday. Friday you have 2 sessions. You have Division 1 that'll be going first, so they'll be starting in the morning, and then you have Division 2 and 3 in the afternoon. And then all 3 of them are together on Saturday.
Okay.
So and the events are split up a little bit, and you can go to the WIA website and see the schedule for that. I don't know it offhand. I just know that Division 1 goes before Division 2 and 3 because last year was the opposite, and they rotate that Friday every year. So, but it's always one of my favorite events. It is a long 2 days. There's a lot of work put in. I usually come away looking quite sunburnt, but that's just nature of the beast. It's just one of those things that, like, if you're in my spot, if you're print or media, or if you're TV, like our Justice and his crew, and the other TV stations, like, it's a busy 2 days, but you have fun doing it, because the thing about track and field is there's always stories to tell. Like, you can go to a track meet and that's, you can come away with a ton of different stories, especially this time of year.
Right. Yep.
And, we all of us try our best to tell as many as we can, because there's a lot going on. But there's a lot going on because there's a lot going on in a lot of sports. We've got earlier this week, we had boys tennis sectionals here in Eau Claire. Shout out to Menominee, advancing to state for the first time in program history, knocking off Eau Claire Memorial off their long held perch as the that section, not only the Big Rivers champ, but the sectional qualifier. Coach Bryce Supri and that team they've got a really good contingent, so they're going to actually, and tennis is an example of, they do have a separate team state tournament, and that is in a couple weeks, but they also had some individuals, so singles and doubles, that will be at it's called the individual tournament, but it's also teams too, but doubles. But that's next week down in Madison.
Okay.
So the next 2 weeks they will be down in Madison competing.
Gotcha.
So shout out to the Mustangs there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Boys golf had regionals earlier this week. Eau Claire Memorial grabbed the regional title there.
So I was going to ask, like, sectionals then, because state's next weekend already, is it?
Yeah, state is the Monday after track, so it's like 10 days from now.
Okay.
So yeah, next week you've got
sectionals probably next week.
Next Tuesday, I believe, is pretty much universal for all of the sectionals around here. Bloomer boys won their Division 2 regional title too. So that Division 1 sectional is at Troy Byrne and Hudson. So all the teams around here in Division 1 that are going there, that's a course they know pretty well by now. Usually they go there a couple times a year.
Gotcha.
So Division 2 is going to be a Turtleback up in Rice Lake. So that's one that Bloomer's familiar with. Early this year, they played the tournament up there with a lot of Big Rivers teams and held their own. That Bloomer team is legit, but they're going to have some good D2 teams to try to battle with, like a Lakeland, who is really good. I think Amory is another one that's really good too. So they're gonna have their work cut out for them, but that's gonna be a good team there. Division 3 actually played yesterday because of rain.
Yeah.
Earlier this week, knocked out Chautauqua Weyerhaeuser won that regional. Cadet was second, so they'll be playing coming up again this week as well. So probably by like Wednesday we'll know who's going to state for golf. Baseball and softball postseasons are underway. Softball had regional finals last night.
It's kind of Division 1's kind of all chalk, it looks like here.
It is, but that Division 1 sectional this year is a bit different, I think, in the past, because I think a lot of those years, and maybe not last year because Superior was really good. They went to state, they were the runner-up, but like usually that Division 1 sectional starts with Triple Falls and Stevens Point. Yeah, like those are always like your top seeds. Those are always the teams that, and they're both very good teams again this year. But on the other half of that section, you got New Richmond, who won the Big Rivers, and you've got DC Everest, who has an outstanding pitcher in Addison Cluck. So those are your final 4 teams left in Division 1. Chi and Stevens Point renewing their rivalry. I mean, at this point they pretty much play every year in the postseason. And then you got New Richmond and DC Everest. Those games are coming up on Tuesday, and then those 2 winners will meet on Thursday with a trip to state on the line. In Division 2, you got Rice Lake and Ellsworth, and Mosinee and New London on the other half of that. So obviously, one of those games is much more in our area than the other, but that's what you're looking at for in Division 2. Rice Lake edging out Baldwin Woodville to win that regional title. D3. You had Bloomer giving a really good effort against the top seed Northwestern last night, but you got Northwestern, Spooner, and then Prescott and Aquinas coming up and that's your kind of your two.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your
For
two,
D3.
for D3.
D4 is kind of interesting matchup there with Fall Creek and McDonald Central,
yes,
though.
the rematch from the regular season. Those are the top two teams in the Western Clover Belt. Fall Creek won both of those matchups. So yeah, they'll be meeting up, and that's going to be a doozy. And the winner of that game will likely meet Grantsburg, who is the number 1 seed, up top. But then that will be again Thursday. So. But otherwise, then you go to Division 5 and you got Thorpe and Athens. The Cardinals shut out Eau Claire Emmanuel. Elsewhere in Division 5 too, you've got some other teams a little bit south of here that are still hanging around. But you gotta go a bit south to get there. But yes, Pep and Alma, they'll be taking on Wisconsin Rapids Assumption coming up. So yeah, by this time next week, you'll know who's going to stay for softball.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. I was just good. If you were doing softball, baseball.
Yeah, baseball. Division 2 through 4 got underway
yesterday.
So
another Medford versus Rice Lake matchup.
Those teams meet often at this time of year for baseball. And on the other half, you that potential regional final matchup. We got Bloomer who beat Amory, making the trip up north to Ashland. So otherwise. You've got
Abbotsford Colby's on there.
Abby Colby's on there. Yep. You got Altoona. They'll be hosting Toma. Baldwin-Woodville will be hosting La Crosse Logan. You go to Division 3, and I mean, you got McDonald who pulled off the 13-4 upset. I mean, remember that's the McDonald team last year that won 4 games in the regular season and made the run. Won 5 in a row to make it to state. That's a team that they've got some of those kids back, and that's a team that. You can't, their record's not great, but they've actually played pretty well down the line. Remember, they beat Fall Creek. Fall Creek won the Western Clover Belt. So, that's not your usual lower seeded team. That's they're going to play Neilsville Grant on Tuesday, and the winner of that game will face either Elkbound or Regis. That's not your typical 13 seed. But Fall Creek opened up with a win over Augusta. They'll take on Whitehall. Osseo Fairchild knocked off Stanley Boyd, so they'll play Mondovi in Division 3. So
could that Elk Mound Regis one be interesting too?
Yes,
as a 1 versus 8.
Regis picked up a big win. Scored like 9 runs in the 6th inning to beat Cadet last night. Elk Mound's got such a great history of baseball at that school. So Regis is a team that last year was a top ranked team. They had some heavy hitters move on to college, but they've still got some talent, and that team can hit the ball. They've got some pitchers too, but that team can swing it. So. This time of year, you're always a little, if you're an opponent, you're always a little leery of those type of teams that can really hit. Because, in a short series, like baseball and softball are 2 of those sports where, and I think baseball a little bit more so where, you see those upsets just because, in baseball, obviously you have to worry about your pitching and how you set that up. But, you run into a hot pitcher one day, you run into if your team is just a little bit off, and you can see those upsets happen. So, Division 4, Eau Claire Emmanuel, 3 seed. They'll be hosting Edgar. Spring Valley picked up a 11-10 win over Clear Lake. They'll play Flambeau. Division 1, their postseason will start next week. They actually finished up. Big Rivers finished up last night. Eau Claire Memorial picked up a win over Chippewa after Chippewa beat Memorial on Wednesday.
And Hudson already clinched.
Hudson's the Big Rivers champ. River Falls was second. That sectional for baseball in Division 1 is really interesting too because you got Stevens Point, who's the 1 seed, rightfully so. They're awesome. They're a great team. They're one of the top ranked teams in the state. But then you look at 2 through 6, 2 through 7, it's pretty even. Hudson's the 2 seed, River Falls is the 3 seed, but Chippewa Falls is the 6 seed, and they have wins over the 2 seed, the 3 seed, and the 4 seed. You've got Eau Claire Memorial, who I mentioned, is the 4 seed. They just beat Chippewa Falls. You've got Eau Claire North, who swept Chippewa Falls during the regular season. It's with a couple wins, you could have a Memorial North regional final. Which would, I don't think you have to tell anyone listening here what a North Memorial regional final in baseball would be. That would, Carson Park would be rocking for that one. So Chippewa Falls hosts Wisconsin Rapids. So with a win, they could play a regional final at River Falls. That would be coming up next Thursday. So, this is those first few days coming on Memorial Day are always super packed.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
But by this time next week, you'll know who's going to state base, or who knows who's going to sectionals. Sorry, in baseball too. And then sectionals are June 4th. And remember, sectionals for baseball, you have the semis and the finals the same day.
That's right. Because didn't you say you'd like that for softball?
I would.
Yeah.
And it used to be that way a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why it's not now, because if baseball could do it, I don't see why softball can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's just, one of those
It's above
things.
your pay grade, right?
It is. If the WIA asks me my opinion, that I will give that. But yeah, so we're getting that time. Girls soccer postseason gets underway next week, and we've got I know in Division One we got a North End Memorial first round matchup, I believe.
5-4.
Yep.
Yep.
Chippewa Falls will be heading to DC Everest, who is the top seed there. In Division 4, Regis McDonald's a 1 seed, so they'll be in action coming up here as well. And
even Division 2, you got Menominee is a 5, Altoona Fall Creek co-op 7 seed over there too.
Yeah,
so
it's time. I mean, I said it's
Rice Lake again a 1 seed at soccer.
Yeah,
too,
they're well set up. I mean, they're this is that time of year where we talk about it a lot, but for Rice Lake playing in the Big Rivers in so many different sports, and remember they're jumping back in for football this fall too. Like, it serves them so well. Like, they're ready to go. They're playing the Hudsons, the Memorials, the Norths, the River Falls of the world. So when you get to the postseason, you're usually in a pretty good spot for them.
Could be interesting too, because Baldwin Woodville's that 2 seed at the bottom part of that bracket.
Yes.
So, yeah. Oh man, a lot of stuff going on. Holy moly! And then you got the Express.
The Express getting underway here
Monday,
pretty quick. Yeah, we're Northwoods League roaring up, and
I know
CRBL is underway. We've got some of the local dirt tracks. They've got a few races under their belt now. So
Blue Gold kind of wrapping up their final sports with the Division 3 Track and Field National Championships going on too. So day 2 is today, and they had some podium winners yesterday too. So we'll know if they got another national championship team wise after this weekend. So there's your local sports roundup.
Woo!
Brought to you
is
by
that time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go use that ice machine.
Brought to you by Amundsen's Appliance Center. All right, we'll take a quick break here. Brandon's gonna get some more water with. Yeah, we got ice with that water now too. We're getting fancy.
Moving up in the world.
Right. Look at that. So we'll take a quick break here. Don't forget you can join in on the conversation. It says hit us up with a quick text 715-830-1912. Does the computer want to work for me?
Does it
there
ever?
We go. No. All right, quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, don't forget, if you are also too maybe hitting the road, doing some road tripping this weekend or at any point this summer, you got to take care of that vehicle of yours. So if you need an oil change or maybe you're going to need some new treads, like some new tires and such, go hit up our good friends at ASAP Used Auto Parts, west side of Eau Claire, just across the street from the Dodge over there. Or maybe you are trying to find some high quality used parts to save a little cash, save a little coin in your pocket. ASAP Used Auto Parts is your go-to place for that too. So check them out on the west side of Eau Claire. Make your appointment for your oil change or get some new tires over there too. So, all right, we are approaching the bottom of the hour here, Mr. Brandon. Now I know it's way in the rear view mirror here, but you and I were out last Friday. So just really quick, just kind of general, anything stand out to you with NFL schedule release?
I'm a little bummed that the Vikings-Jets game is in London and not in Minnesota.
Yeah. I was a little bummed about that too, and I have got no horse in the race.
But otherwise, I mean, as far as the Vikings go, like I said, I'm not going to get too.
I don't like making picks.
I didn't either. Like it's based on how everyone was last year. It's a challenging start to the year for them. They have a stretch where they play like 4 or 5 playoff teams in a row. But then there's a stretch in the middle of the year where they play a bunch of teams that weren't. But as we know, things will be different. Things will change. They have a unique spot where I think the Bears do too, where they play 3 road games and 3 home games.
Well, our good buddy Tom from across the pond had noticed this too. Bears don't play a division team until like post week 13.
Right.
The first one.
It's all backloaded.
Yeah. So as he knows, like, is that for Caleb Williams to kind of get adjusted? Then you hit the division teams.
I mean, that's just how it worked. But,
right.
Because I know one of the things Vikings fans have been looking at is like, okay, pick the week JJ McCarthy makes his first start because you try to plan that out. And there's a couple possibilities, but who knows? I mean, you don't know.
Right.
So I mean, it's the schedule. Like, I mean, we always know the games, we just don't know when and the time.
Yep. I mean, or the bye week.
Or the bye weeks, which Minnesota's falls. Then I think that would be like week 6 or week 7, which is obviously right after the London game, which isn't always the case. But in that case, it is. So it's.
Yep.
So I mean, well,
I was just pumped that we got a Saturday noon preseason game.
Do you really?
Yeah, the Primo, right?
Good for you. I'm happy for you for that. Good for you.
Primo, and it's the Ravens. I mean, none of those guys are playing, but Hudson's one of his favorite players is Derrick Henry. So I'm assuming he'll be there on the bench.
You'll be able. Oh, if he's there, you'll be able to see him.
Yeah, exactly. So, but Saturday noon.
Nice.
And it's the last one, so it's like late August too. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about.
And that. you got a Festivus Monday night game.
Yeah, got to figure out something there.
We're gonna
that might be a Festivus thing for me to have a Festivus night game.
Because Festivus this year is on a Monday.
I'm
already throwing this gauntlet out there. We're doing a live show, right?
On Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So does this mean since it's Monday, we should be able to get both me and Justice there?
You have to talk Justice about that.
Yeah, because I don't know if there's going to be much scheduled on the preps
for that week.
For at least for the first part. They might have some Friday, Saturday stuff.
Right. No.
But for that Monday, I don't think you're going to have. I mean, you'll have maybe some floating non-conference games, but I don't think you're going to have too much.
Right. I had forgotten about that. They scheduled that on Festivus, which I'll put that on my list of Festivus for scheduling a night game on Festivus. Jerks. But
the feat. Oh, dang it. Too bad they weren't playing the Ravens then, because in the feat of strength would be it can't end until someone wrestles Derrick Henry to the ground.
Hey, we got A.J. Dillon.
There we go.
How about A.J. Dillon versus Derrick Henry? I'd still probably pick Derrick Henry. No offense, A.J., but Quadzilla versus King Henry. It's like King Kong versus Godzilla.
Is that game at Lambeau?
Which one?
The Monday night game. Or is it in New Orleans?
It's in it's in Green Bay.
I was gonna say, well, if those two collided, when was the last time there was like a legitimate earthquake in Wisconsin? Because that could cause one.
I think there was one. There wasn't that long ago.
Well, I know was there like parts of the state that were shaking a little bit, like when that one hit like New York or whatever.
It wasn't that long ago. It was down south.
Okay.
I'm not even gonna go there. I'll just embarrass myself on there. Oh, here's an article: 1947 Wisconsin earthquake. Quake hits Milwaukee is the big headline in the Milwaukee Sentinel. The 1947 Wisconsin earthquake took place on May 6th. It was the largest tremor to be historically documented in Wisconsin, but was not recorded by seismographs. Okay, so what does that mean? What was the Richter scale? Or I guess if it's not on there. Oh, locals' initial impression was that an explosion had taken place. Many evacuated buildings into the streets. All right, interesting. Often described as, quote, sharp, this was the most powerful earthquake to date in Wisconsin's history. The earthquake broke a seismograph at Marquette University. All right, so
I just thought of a hot button you need to get to play the sound for.
What?
You remember the more you know thing that would?
Yes.
You need that, like.
Yeah.
The biggest earthquake in Wisconsin history was then.
This was the one I was thinking of, a 2.5 magnitude earthquake in Crandon, sixth recorded in Wisconsin history. It was back in January.
Okay.
So it was Crandon. I was up
okay.
there.
Oh, so yeah, I was up. Yeah, that's up. Okay,
there.
that's
2.5. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Hope the mud bog was okay.
I know. 2.5. I mean, that's something.
Oh yeah,
that's a little something there for
legit.
Crandon. For Crandon up there. I've never experienced an earthquake though. Have you?
No.
No, I've never.
I don't know if I need to either.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, what do you do? It's just.
Yeah, I don't want anything. Yeah, no, I don't want to. Yeah, it's like one of those. Like I do want to see a tornado, but I want it to see so it doesn't affect anything. You know what I mean? Like
right. You just you see it in a zoo or something.
Zoo. I was thinking, okay, an open field where it's not doing anything. And doesn't like run into animals or houses or buildings. Zoo.
Well, go watch the new Twister movie that's coming out this summer.
I will. I watched the original at a drive-through. That was kind of creepy. Drive-in.
I don't think McDonald's would have thought too highly of you for that.
A drive-in. It was the old one over by Abbotsford. Remember when they had it before 29 was built over there? Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to know what the second movie was after that?
Ooh. Okay, so Twister was like.
I've seen 4 movies at that place because they always did 2 in a night. So it was Twister.
Wait, and Twister was like 96, 97?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was a comedy.
I think this was later, but I was going to go Me, Myself, and Irene.
No.
Okay. I think that was later. That was a few years later. I give up.
Major Pain.
Nice.
The second one time I was there was to watch Kasper. The second movie after that one you won't get. It was Eraser. I've
heard of it.
Yeah. It was Arnold.
Yeah.
I think Tom Arnold's on there too, but I'm not. But yeah.
Was this like it was? I was saying it sounded like if you had Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tom Arnold, is that like the spiritual predecessor to Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold? So is there a world with Tom Arnold and Danny DeVito are like movie half brothers?
Possibly, yeah. But have you ever been to a drive-in?
If I have, I was young.
Yeah. I was got to see Twister there. That was kind of creepy because they have the scene with the drive-in and all that. What are you laughing at?
I was picturing young Dan, like looking around the corner, and then there's like a Twister like peeking around the corner at you, like, I'm gonna get you.
Stop, man. Good times. I can't even. It's hard to imagine that area not having the 29.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like, I will bring this up because when I was younger, I have family that lives down in the Fox Cities, and now obviously you just hop on 29, 51, 10.
Yeah.
Boom, you're there. But back in the day, you would have to like
the good old days.
When you would have to take like County X through like you start in Thorpe, and you go through like Owen and Withy, and like you take like 29 was not there.
Like you go through Loyal too, maybe.
And then you would. I mean, there were so many little towns that I knew the name of just because we would drive through it. And like now a 2.5 hour drive took like 3 hours plus. But like, heck, I even remember when it was a big deal for like when 29 and stuff was developed the way it was around Chippewa.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You'd have
The
to
bypass
go,
was
the
a big darn
bypass.
deal.
Yeah. North Crossing.
North Crossing.
Well, took me a little bit before I accepted it, and I still went the old way of going Chippewa than the old 53. Sort of there.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah. Good times. Good times, man. We need to get back to those days, right? Man. Come on.
I don't know. Sometimes I just like being able to hop on the highway and get somewhere quick.
True that. Okay, so what are we doing for a top 5? Have we decided yet? Are we doing a top? I know. Let me put it this way. I don't want to put you on the spot. You had a long night. Do you want to skip a top 5? Or do you want
Can we hold off on until next week?
You're not here next week.
I can come in on Thursday.
Oh, jeez. You're not. You're just actually that might work.
Because I'm not like, my thinking is I'm gonna have to wait. Like, I want to wake up early because I'm gonna have to wake up early the next day anyway.
Okay.
So I can come in Thursday. That's fine.
All right.
We can set we can.
We'll give the people a chance to do some more nominations.
Suggest.
So this was on our Facebook group page. If you want to give us some suggestions on what we should do for our next top 5.
There's been some good ones out there. So
there's some good ones. We'll give you a little bit more time to do this.
Yeah.
But these were the ones that we've had thus far. Let me. I gotta do the click to all comments so it doesn't just sort out.
By the way, so far the best one we've had is the top 5 Bears.
You're gonna bring that up every time.
I sure am, because I thought of that one.
Timmy put top 5 off-brand / beers that used to be main players in the adult beverage market. I do need a ruling. Is Zima considered a beer? Because that's.
I think I would allow it.
Okay.
I would allow it because you're involved.
Thanks.
And I don't want you to
it was not me, but somebody commented, Derek commented, his top 5 and Zima's number 1. It caught me off guard. Is Zima considered a beer?
I will allow it.
I'm gonna Google it. And
I just don't want you glaring
AI
at me like that one time when I was going to buy you one or buy it, and then it was hard to find that I thought, and you gave me the death glare that day. Okay. I thought you were never going to let me back in here.
It does say here, it was marketed as an alternative to beer. So I don't think we can allow it. I think that was during the age of like Sky Blue had their own version. I mean, yeah. So it says here it's similar to light beer, but is more like a liqueur or wine spritzer sort of thing. I don't know if we can allow Zima. I don't think we can. So
I don't know if we have enough knowledge to do a top 5 of liqueurs.
Oh, come on. You and I both grew up in central Wisconsin. Come on.
I don't have too much experience with that, though.
I'm not. No. Stop. Boone's Farm.
That's wine.
Stuff like that.
Okay. If we're making it a little bit wider envelope.
Yeah.
Well, for me then Franzi would have to be in there at the top. You got to slap the bag. That was a VIT tradition.
This one, it was Memorial Day weekend, but Brett put up their top 5 war movies. Mm-hmm. Jake, this could go really in a dark direction, but he put top 5 missed opportunities. So I'm thinking,
do you need me to sit down and reassess my life?
I was going to say, is it sports opportunities? Is it life opportunities?
Like a sports what if would be interesting.
Yeah.
But and that's kind of, I kind of see where he's going with that. I'm assuming you're keeping that to sports and not making me like,
I missed out on, so-and-so that night or what, you know what I'm getting at.
Dan didn't ask somebody to prom and he's been kicking himself ever since.
Yep. Chris said today is National Brothers Day, top 5 athletic brothers. So like JJ Watts.
Tony
TJ
Brothers
Watts,
is not on my list.
Top 5 video game systems, which we've done sports video games, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. Top 5 sports destinations. That could go a little bit like, is it one that we haven't been to or just like top 5 in general? Boomer Tony, top 5 podcasts that you listen to. Well, that's easy for me. Man Cave.
Even if it wasn't number 1, I would put it number 1.
Yeah, there's your 5 right there. Garrett said top 5 Super Bowl winning drives of all time. Garrett's a 49ers fan, so I think that's where you might be going.
You might have to do that one someday with somebody else because I'm not sure how much I can take.
This one would be yours. Top 5 Brewers players of all time. This was from Timothy that commented on there. So I feel like that we would have a lot of the same ones.
I think we would. I think we kind of think similarly with that.
Mm-hmm. So if anybody's got any ideas, let us know. Or we could do top 5 Wisconsin earthquakes.
Apparently, there's enough for a top 5
and an honorable mention.
Top 5 plus.
Top 5 plus. So we're open to anything.
As we've said with some of ours, we will expand the creative envelope.
Oh yeah. So go look up our Facebook group page. It's called Man Cave Confessions. We changed the name to make it sound a little bit more, I don't know. I didn't like the conversations word on there. So all right, we're gonna take a break here. Enough with this riff raft, and we'll make some picks and predicts here. We've got some baseball games to pick, some hockey games. The Fighting Connor McDavid's double overtime last night picked up a win. My Stanley Cup matchup is still alive. I had Edmonton versus Florida. I'm feeling pretty darn good right now.
I think picked Carolina.
Or
are they in the finals? Or the Eastern Conference Finals?
I think they're in the finals.
Okay,
I think I picked Florida. I could be wrong. We might have to go back to the tape. Don't know where we would go for that one.
You went with Florida.
I'm saying I'm going with Florida, though, right now.
You went with Florida and Edmonton.
This is my house. Or the club can't handle me right now. So, all right. We'll make some picks and cream of the crop. Thank you. We'll get to that, too. So, quick break, and we'll wrap things up on this Friday morning after these quick words. All right, before we get to a little picks and predicts here, Brandon, should we do the cream of the crop?
Let's do it.
Before we do that? All right, there's the button. Where is the button? There it is. See, it's been a while. There we go. All right, Brandon, go for it.
I feel very confident that you are not going to pick what I'm going to pick.
Okay.
I am going to go with Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson, who is going to do this Sunday, is going to race in both the Indianapolis 500 and the Coca-Cola 600. His first time really driving Indy cars. He qualified 5th for the Indianapolis 500 last weekend, which is remarkable. Then he flew to North Wilkesboro to run in the All-Star race. But a few drivers over the years have done it. Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, I think Robbie Gordon did it once. But it is incredibly hard because for those of you that aren't big into auto racing, like Indy cars and NASCAR cars are very different.
Didn't Tony Stewart do that?
Yeah, Tony Stewart. Yeah, I said Tony Stewart.
Did you say Tony? Okay.
Kurt Busch has done it.
See, you're talking that and just.
Yep. But and he's someone, like I said, with no real IndyCar experience, but he's got a lot of just driving experience. So
because the reason didn't Tony Stewart like take a helicopter?
Yes, that's what. That's the point. Like you like helicopter. Like last week when Larson was done with qualifying, he took a helicopter to the airport and then they took the jet to wherever. So
that's passion. Man.
It's 1,100 miles in one day if you complete all the laps. It is crazy. Like that's just the level of commitment and like physical fitness you have to have to do that. Like is crazy. Like
it's like Dumb and Dumber. You got to pee. Just go, man.
Just go.
Just go, man.
But that was. Especially with how well he was doing, like running the Indy cars, considering he has like no experience in that. Like Tony Stewart was an Indy car driver before he came to NASCAR. So like, but to be able to do it like that, like it's just crazy.
I'm going a non-sports route for mine. To quote George Costanza, "Is the summer of George," but I feel I'm going to the Hollywood area. There's a couple of good movies coming out. I saw some trailers for. The Beetlejuice trailer dropped yesterday. Michael Keaton is like, I think, the most underrated actor of all time. He's
your Batman.
The crop. First words in that trailer when he comes up, he's like, "The juice is loose." I'm like, oh yeah. You get the OJ, sort of stuff there. Deadpool and Wolverine coming out. So I'm actually cream of the crop. I think we got finally.
You mentioned the Twister movie coming.
Twister, finally, some solid summer movies coming out. I feel like it's 2009 again when Hangover dropped on Memorial Day weekend.
I remember going to I had a friend of mine that we went to because I was still in college, but he had seen it and he had recommended it. He's like, so I'm like, okay, we'll go. So we like going into the theater, like he had seen it like 3 times and lived up to the hype.
Yeah,
it
did.
Just one like that era, and maybe that might have been like the last of that era, but like there were so many good like 2000s comedies.
Yeah, there was a genre then.
Yeah, like
right?
there was just like a wheelhouse. It's like
Yep.
You know what you're gonna get. I mean, you think of the Will Ferrell movies, the John C. Riley,
Step
movies,
Brothers, and that. Yep. Oh yeah, that you don't really see. I don't think that type anymore.
No.
Old school road trip, Euro trip. Anchorman.
Anchorman, yeah. You said like Will Ferrell stuff.
That could be a top 5.
Top 5 comedies.
You got to define the comedy though.
We would have to do a little bit more work on that, but I think there's something good there.
Because you can't to me when
because then you can use something like
Mel Brooks comedies versus these comedies,
right? Like it's all like you'd almost have to be like 2000s comedy.
Yeah. Because Young Frankenstein versus
or Caddyshack versus that. Like
exactly.
It's just like it's. You're not gonna say like one's better than the other. It's just 2 different eras. Like you almost
have to have like. This might be a bracket challenge, Brandon, where you can have the regions, like the Saturday Night Live comedy movies. You got Tommy Boy. You've got. I'd throw like a Happy Gilmore.
They have like the connections to people that are on the cast.
Wayne's World. You'd put on their Conehead. That sort of stuff. Then you have like the we call it the Will Ferrell region because that's the era.
Yeah, even though Will Ferrell, like I said, though Will Ferrell was on Saturday Night Live, like Will Ferrell has enough where he could get his own region.
Right. I think we could do regions on that. That might be a summer thing.
That's another summer thing. Yeah.
What was the other one I was going to write up?
Sports, like
See?
No, when you're at games like your sports
stadium etiquette.
Stadium etiquette. Write it right now and make sure that's and make sure that's not a permanent marker.
Stadium rules. Comedy bracket. All right.
He's got it written down on the board.
Okay.
As Hawk Harrelson would say, you can put it on the board. Yes.
All right. Yeah, I think that one's you can't do top 5. I think you got to do a bracket with that one, with the 4 regions. So, all right, let's do some picks and predicts. Brought to you by the Elbow Room, located in Eau Claire, west side of not west side, located right next to the Banbury. What are you doing with the chicken wings?
I'm making Elbow Room.
Oh my god.
They have a lot of TVs there.
And thank you.
And
man.
lots of beers.
Oh man, located right next to the Banbury place. And Man Cave Light too. So
yes, they do.
Let's do some baseball picks here. Let's do first of all, before baseball, let's do Mavericks, Timberwolves tonight. Who you got?
I'm gonna go T-Wolves tonight.
I think T-Wolves even it up too. I'm gonna go T-Wolves. We'll go Panthers, Rangers tonight.
I'm gonna say Rangers even it up.
Yep, me too. Baseball, how many wins for the Brewers in this series?
I'll take 2. I think they get some things back going this weekend.
I'm gonna go 1. I'm gonna be a Debbie Downer. I'm gonna go 1 for that. How about Twins versus Rangers?
It's a good series. It almost feels like we usually pick 1 or 2. Like with the Twins, it almost feels like you better pick a sweep or they get swept.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll take the Rangers 2 or 3.
I'm gonna go Rangers 2. Cubs, Cardinals. It's in St. Louis.
I am picking 3 games of rain because I don't want to pick either team.
Okay.
But Cardinals coming off of a sweep of the Orioles. First team in like a few years to actually sweep the Orioles, but I'll take Cubs 2 or 3.
I'm going to take Cubs 2 out of 3 too, which sets it up to where if my math is correct, which is sketchy, Brewers would have a 1-game lead then. For my picks heading in that series, you would still be 2-game lead over.
All right.
So we're Yankees at Padres.
Yankees, they're 2. Yankees for 2.
I'm gonna go Yankees for 2 as well. So, do you want to do any more picks?
I was gonna ask you who's gonna win the Indy 500.
I was gonna say, did you want to do Indy 500 picks? You're gonna look it up now, aren't you?
I mean, I had one in my head, but I want to make sure I.
Oh, you want to check the odds and see if they're up there? I mean, who does that besides me? So, I'm looking at the odds right now. Okay, I got my pick. If you're ready,
I'm gonna let you go first.
I am gonna go with Willpower. This is the name that stood out to me right away. Willpower.
It's a great name.
I know,
and
right?
I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking maybe Will too, but I'm not gonna pick him because you picked him. But my pick is not gonna be entirely like off the beaten path. I'm gonna pick him because he's got a pretty good track record at Indy. I'm going with Joseph Newgarden. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Joseph Newgarden.
We got who did you who was your cream of the crop pick again?
Kyle Larson.
Oh, that's right. Because Mark texted saying he's on his way to Indy right now. Good cream pick.
Nice.
Brandon, so
thank you. Hope you have fun. That's like Indy is such an event. Like, I mean, there's so much lead up to it where you have like everything going on.
Have you been there?
I never have.
Okay. Is it still? So going back to one of those top 5s.
I would like to go. Like my mom's been there, but not for the Indy 500. She went for the Brickyard 400. But
okay.
I would like to go to the Indy 500 once, even though I'm not really an Indy racing fan. But I would like to go because it's the Indianapolis 500. Like,
yeah, I feel like there are those events that if you're not a fan of, you still want to go check it out or experience, sort of thing. And I'm trying to think of what would be that one for me. I don't know if Indy 500 would be in my top 5 though.
Yeah,
maybe Daytona. But has the Indy 500 lost a little flair?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm a good gauge to tell like where Indy racing is. I mean, I know
Formula One's such a huge thing now, isn't it?
Yeah, like Formula One's really picked up steam. Obviously, at one point, NASCAR was gigantic. So I don't know if I don't think I'm qualified to answer that, to be honest. Like, I know like there's other times where it was a bigger deal, but it still draws a gigantic crowd there. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like they're driving in front of 10,000 people. Like that place is still very full.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'll have to think about like the top 5. Man, that would be hard to do 5 for me. Like events where I'm maybe not a diehard fan that I would still, like the one-offs.
Yeah, like
the
something you would go
one-offs.
to say,
just to say
get
that
you to
you've done it.
WrestleMania.
Honestly, that might be one.
As we're talking off air, but they will not be coming to Minneapolis, it appears, which I kind of figured that was the case.
Were they in the running?
They were.
Okay.
They were. For not next year, but maybe the year after. But the fact that they got SummerSlam, which is basically their second biggest event, like they're not going to.
Is it for this year or next year?
That is for next year. That's 2025.
Okay.
This year it's in Cleveland. Milwaukee's trying to get a Royal Rumble, which would be fun.
Would you go to that?
I would.
No,
I would.
So would it be at the Pfizer?
No, it would be at American Family Field.
No kidding.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, they've run some baseball stadiums for those shows in the past. They ran Tropicana Field this past Royal Rumble. They've run like Arizona. So yeah, I would do that.
Cowards do it outside at Lambeau.
I would just say open the roof.
Oh, you're talking about okay.
Yeah, but but otherwise, the fun thing about that would be like, I'm assuming are you allowed to tailgate in January?
Why wouldn't you?
I would exactly. Why wouldn't you? But like,
here's the thing: like, there was people tailgating in the Lambeau lot for rookie orientation. So there can't be a law,
right? Like they're not going to be going around like, you better not be, tailgating.
Because I will tell you this: the mobile man cave has a grill.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So next year at the draft, are you going to be throwing like 8 a.m. bacon and sausage patties on that beast?
Wouldn't be the first time I've tailgated breakfast on that grill. Would not be the first time. We've had eggs on it. Oh yeah. It does have it will be coming with a grill.
11 months away.
Kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah. I appreciate that the Packers are trying to really cash in on that, but I'm not spending $150 on a draft jacket that I just saw that was up on their pro shop.
No.
So, although I probably will be getting the football to go with the other stuff. I've gotten a football from the Super Bowl, from the Final Four, and I probably need that football for the draft.
You got a football from the Final Four?
Basketball, sorry. Basketball. So
don't worry, Charles Barkley wasn't there.
Yeah.
I think it was an honest mistake.
It was a talking point. He was just, a little dramatic effect, right? So top 5, though, will have to be the Inside the NBA. I did catch myself watching some clips on YouTube yesterday of it. So fantastic program. All right. Thank you to all those who gave the ultimate sacrifices. We honor you on this Memorial Day weekend. Everybody, we're out on Monday. We'll be back Tuesday. Talk to you then.